season only on Eswatini TV.
I've never seen Christmas brought to life like this.
What do you think the best part of traveling is? Is it the food, or is it the conversation, or is it the sights and sound? If you're ready to explore, we are ready to show you the best way how. We'll give you access to the best luxury getaway sites in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and of course show you vacation sites that suit your budget, because you do not need a lot of money to actually have a great time. Join us on the next adventure on Buhle Bethu, only on Eswatini TV.
Kusile masalamahle sanivusela lamhla ekseni sibanga kakhulu ukuthi nikhethe kuvuka nathi kulesihlanu tilishumi nesihlanu kuyo inyanga yengongoni umnyaka ngo2023 sabanga sinikhethe kuvuka nathi lamhla ekseni. A very good morning to you lapho nobukela khona umsakazo Eswatini TV. Kukumbuka ukuthi you can also watch us on our YouTube page Eswatini TV. 6 o'clock lo shokona kucala kuhlelo lethu lomhla ekseni. Ama temperatures lomuhla kubukeka kwangathi ehlile impela njengoba kuletinye indzawo nje lapha eveni liyana ikakhulukazi nje lapha eMbabane. Mngoni, how are you this morning?
Doing very well, Lungilela. How are you?
Yeah, sicela impela sonto Mngoni.
Sisaqala impela sonto. I think nje ngihamba ngale sentiment yakho yokuthi solo sikuyinyanga yangongoni. Indeed, the biggest month of the year. Inyanga lenkulu kakhulu. Ingwala is underway, and another topic of conversation since geliviki licalile kuyinyanga yangongoni nje. Ingwenyama Cup is back. All those developments happening around Yona Ingwenyama Cup, we will discuss them with Fabrice Msonera, our in-house sports journalist and analyst. We also do want to focus on the DSTV Premiership as well as the English Premier League, Nayoge La Liga Spain. In fact, all the football developments happening around the world. But first, the biggest football tournament in the country, Ingwenyama Cup, is back, and there's a lot of excitement around it with the draw, the CND, where and I think Maswati Onge, particularly football fans, are excited for Ingwenyama Cup, not because of the teams that Dawdlala or anything else. The incentive, there's a lot of money in there, and it is Ingwenyama Cup. We're excited to see basiphathelene nalo nyaka sakudiscussa konke na Fabrice Msonera later on the show.
Yeah, and also sawuphindze sikhulumisane na director wenhlangano iMhluma Women and Youth Foundations lakumele ukuthi lena yinhlangano elebukele nje amalungelo kanye netindzaba tebafelokati lapha eveni. Bebanemhlangano ke lapho bebane dialogue bebakhulumisana ngato tindzaba tebafelokati nama challenges nje labadibana nawo lokufaka ekhathi kona kumucwa kwemhlaba. Sitakhulumisana naye director Lungelo Zulu kuva ukuthi bakhala ngani kahle kahle bomake la sebahanjelwe emhlabeni bobabe bakabo. Silabe sinaye lamuhla ekseni nga 6:30, and unfortunately we do not have Vusi Dlamini lamuhla saze sibabone eminyakeni lotako njengoba khona ukuthi besihlala sititeka tindzaba tekubhadalwa kwemthelo, kepha ke bathe kuthatha likhefu kancane. Kepha yena siqiniseka sokuthela nathi utawuva kabanti ngetindzaba tema challenges letibhekene nabo bafelokati lapha eveni. Ngomanje sibuke nathi lethamba imbili kumaphephandaba. Asicela ngebuka Eswatini Observer Sport ihloko ethamba embili lomhla. Ansikleto leti hamba embili King Dancers Little Ingwala. His Majesty Mswati III leads the regiment in the dancing of the Little Ingwala at Eswatini Royal Residence yesterday. Kuletinye thamba embili nasibuka tindzaba tetempilo. New health woes. The Look Commission has laid off 160 workers and also has suspended outpatient services from December 22nd. Stops provision of Christmas food parcels for staff. Sad news. Kuletinye thamba embili washa scam. Senator conned 210,000 emalangeni.
Very interesting. Kutemidlalo lomhla ekseni kungu lesihlanu. Another day, another challenge as Wanderers star AWOL players ditch team to play in South Africa in Stockville. Team expects them back at training. Wesleyans take on Highlanders tomorrow. Let's run clubs like corporates is another leading headline today from Singizini Hospital's Chief Executive Officer Banele Ngobo.
Right, nasibuka Eswatini Daily News kuleto hamba embili lomhla. US raises Eswatini raw sugar quota through AGOA. Kuletinye thamba embili Red Cross Society spends over 700,000 emalangeni on families affected by hailstorm, and tributes pour in for Tinkundla director Tumisani Sithole.
Temdlalo khona ke Eswatini Daily News lomuhla ekseni solongiyo nje indzaba lethi AWOL Manzini Wanderers trio lokufaka ekhathi ke Siphamandla Dlamini Sihle Mkhonda naye ke Mancoba Maseko will face disciplinary action for allegedly skipping the country without permission to play in a Stockville tournament at Johannesburg, South Africa. Eswatini is out of CAF Schools champs. Kanti ke Xavi under pressure at Barcelona.
Right, 6 minutes after 6, Tao Tassil Kefu, Spain at Inzavata Swati.
This festive season, Eswatini TV brings you a movie fiesta.
You tell me exactly what you saw.
10 minutes gone.
My name is Ian Swan. This man is my prisoner.
Drug court.
Which is why this is so difficult. You teach this? I don't.
Don't push me.
Mind your own business.
Oh, no. Stop it!
Why don't you use your miracle pot?
Miracles don't exist.
Hello?
She must be protected.
Kill him.
Spider-Man?
I'm ready to take a leap. Be visited by 3 more ex-boyfriends.
This can't be happening.
Where is my son?
Eswatini TV has got you covered with your favorite movies to set the tone for this festive season. From action thriller, drama, comedy, kiddies and family films. Kuningi this festive season.
What are you waiting for? Christmas?
Catch all the action this festive season only on Eswatini TV.
I've never seen Christmas brought to life like this.
Every day is a good day.
Ngwana lamuhla siphinze sikwamukele ehlelweni sethabele nathi itindzaba ingwenyama eMaswati noNdlovukazi Mhlekazi bahole eMaswati elangeni lekucala kugitsa ingcwala lencane kanti ke sive seMaswati nalonyaka siphume ngetinkhani nangebuningi baso.
Sive semaswati siphume ngetinkhani kuto hlanganyela nemakhosi. Siphindze futhi sibe ingcenye yalomkhosi loyinhlitiyo yesive semaswati. Lomkhosi uqale ngelidvumo nelisasasa lelisetulu njengoba emaswati aqhamuka kito tonke tinkhalo telive. Ngelanga lokucala lekugidza lomkhosi bowukade uholwa silo semhlaba kunye nendlovukazi Mhlekazi esigodlweni elitsitsini. Kanti itolo lagcwebetelako aliqhamukise itigodzini totini telive kutongenela nomkhosi esigodlweni elitsitsini. Loku besevele kutinkhomba tekucala kwencwala lencane. Ingwenyama kunye nendlovu yemhlaba ihole sive ngengoma kiyo incwala lencane. Emakhosikati esilo bogogo balondoloze emazinyane bamva benkhosi ndvunankulu kanye nalabanye labakhulu embusweni bebakathe bakhona kusingatha emakhosi kulomkhosi. Umkhosi wencwala nguleminye yemikhosi yelive leseyinemakhulukhulu eminyaka solo yabakhona. Lomkhosi sewaphindze waba yindzaba mlonyeni emhlabeni wonke njengoba sewakha ngativakashi letibuya emhlabeni wonkana. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni elitsitsini.
Liphini landvunankulu Thulidladla selibonge uhulumende weShayina sihlenge seTaiwan ngekuchubeka nekubambisa live laseSwatini etinhlangothini letahlukene. Kanti liphini landvunankulu belikhuluma kumathapha uma lemukela irice lechamuka kahulumende weTaiwan lengabita imali lelinganiselwa ku-8 million emalangeni.
Loncuselele eShayina sihlenge seTaiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang uthi budlelwane bolomavela amabili busuka khashane kungako batimisele kubambisa basite emaswati bahlangabete tidzingo telive kungako ke bende lomnikelo welilayisi lelingu-400 metric tons. Mpasata uthi injongo yahulumende wakhe kubona emaswati aphila ngcono kube deliswati lelilala ngendlala.
Taiwan government is always willing to collaborate with the Eswatini government in food-related measures.
Uthi bayatibophelela kucinisa simo sekudla eSwatini i-food security. Uthi uyethemba ukuthi kutawusitakala labo labadzingile. Lemukela lomnikelo liphinda ndvunankulu Thulidladla lithe selitawuvele lithume libandla laka-NDMA kutsi ke liyewunika labo labeswele.
So le rice le itakondla naba bantfwana betfu labakuma neighboring care points lapho khanza khona ukuthi bantfwana bavuka kude lutho esiswini aphinze babele ekhaya kude lutho esiswini. Lokhu ke kutawusita ukuthi badlayidle Nkosi yami.
Ngakulokunye liphinda ndvunankulu lithe kunendzawo leyilivakashele lapho likhanza bantfwana bangafunzi lokusimo lesevele asisukumele etulu uhulumende ukuthi kubhaliseke labantfwana kude baye esikolweni. Endzabeni ngingiyani Msibi nginasimuva Shongwe sekumathapha.
Indvuna ilitiko letekulima amandla Chawuka ikhutsata emave elivekati le-Afrika kutsi abambisane acinise imitsetfo letawubona kutfutfuka kwetekulima kuphele nendlala kulamave. Kanti-ke indvuna beyikhuluma emhlanganweni wemave elivekati nenhlangano lekhutsata kulinywa kwetibhidvo temdzabu i-Taiwan African Vegetable Initiative.
Ikhuluma ngesikhathi ivula lo mhlangano lohlanganisa emave elivekati le-Afrika, indvuna yetiko letekulima ithi uhulumende uphokophele kufeza ligoli lesibili lakamhlaba lentutfuko lekhonsako lelibuke kucedza indlala ngekwakhaya imitsetfo letecinisekisa ukuthi live laseSwatini likhicita kudla lokwanele.
Siniketwe lo msebenzi lesawuniketwa ingwenyama ukuthi asithi sicedze indlala nebusweti eveni. Kungako ke sisebenzisa tindlela letinje. Sifuna futhi nema-business partners elive noma ama-developmental partners ukuthi asibambise ukuthi sikhona ukugcina sekucedzile lobusweti lobukhona eveni.
Lobekamelele oncuselele live leTaiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang Sophia Jiang uthi balimi baba nebulukhuni bekutfola inhlanyelo yetibhidvo temdzabu.
In Eswatini, tons of vegetables have been already sold to schools or market. And then more than 10,000 students and teachers, they will benefit from our nutrition education and our nutrition vegetables.
Lobekamelele inhlangano yebunye bemave elivekati le-Afrika i-African Union Clement Ajololo uthi bantu balelivekati tibhidvo batidla ngelizinga leliphansi kakhulu.
Data shows that Africa's vegetable intake is significantly below the recommended global requirement.
Kulomhlangano tothatha imalanga lamabili kutawungcola umgomo wokugcinwa kanye nekusebenziseka kahle kwetibhidvo temdzaba kuleli vekati kanti ngekusho kwembiko yenhlangano yakamhlaba yebuke tindzaba tekudla netekulima bantfu labangamashumi 57 ekhulwini 57% kumave lasendasi neligadvulo leSahara abakhoni kudla lekunetitsako letifanele. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza nganotsile Sithole eMbabane.
Litiko letemafa selisemaphetselweni kwakha tinhlelo letawucinisa indlela hulumende latsenga imphahla yakhe kanye-ke nekusebenta kwetimali tahulumende i-Integrated Financial Management System kanye ne-Electronic Government Procurement System. Lokho kuvetwe indvuna yetemafa Neil Reichenberg ngesikhatsi ichaza kwekutsi yini hulumende layentako kucinisekisa kutsi imali ayilahleki kusentiwa imisebenti yekusita sive.
Njengoba sekube nekukhala lokukhulu esiveni kwekuthi imali yahulumende iyalahleka ngenxa yenkhohlakalo ikakhulu nakuthengwa impahla yakhe, sikhulumisene nendvuna yetemafa Neil Reichenberg kuva ukuthi litiko layo lendani kuncanza loku. Indvuna ithi letinhlelo letinsha tekusebenta ngetimali tahulumende titawukwenta ukuthi kube lukhuni ukuthi umuntu ente butulujane ngobe lolu hlelo lutawusebenta ngetindlela tebuciko.
That will mean that in January already we can actually start the rolling out now of the new IFMIS system. The new IFMIS system is a very holistic system, as these very clever software packages do, financial software packages. And it makes sure that it, from procurement stages, in fact, one of the first modules rolling out is e-procurement, is to make sure that our procurement system is actually done online and can be done a whole lot easier with possible bidding systems online to be able to manage our procurement rather than bringing big files every time. Once you're registered in the system, it means that you are open for whatever procurement comes along.
Indvuna iphindze yachaza ukuthi lokhu kutawuphindze kusite ekutheni imithi nemaphilisi etiko letemphilo ithengwe ngendlela lefanele.
This is a joint problem between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health, where we are really trying to, let's call it, clean up the books. And so for a long period of time in the Ministry of Health, there were drugs being purchased without proper ordering systems. And so, but because of that happening for a long period of time, there's now a big cleanup needed on accounts that are just not balancing, people that have supplied drugs that haven't got proper orders for it. They can't even get their paperwork to Treasury because there's no order.
Indvuna yetemafa ithi kule minyaka lesihlanu letako litiko layo litawucinisekisa ukuthi lifaka emandla ekwesekeleni imisebenzi letawutfutfukisa umnotfo welive. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelisiwe Ndlangamandla kunavuma inkhosi inzinisa eMbabane.
Indvuna yelitiko letinkhundla sikhumbuzo Dlamini ithi lelitiko litawuchubeka lifundzise tindvuna tetinkhundla emalunga ephalamende kanye nabobaba ebucopho ngaloko lokubhekekile kude imimango yitfutfuke. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhatsi ivala umhlangano wekufundzisa libandla lenkhundla ngenchubo yelitiko letinkhundla.
Lomhlangano ukufundza tindvuna tetinkhundla emalunga ephalamende nabobucopho betinkhundla letingaphansi kwesifundza sakaManzini wephetsa umsebenzi welitiko letinkhundla locale enyangeni lephelile lapho kuphindze kwahlanganwa khona nebaphatsi betifundza naboba betikhulu. Lomhlangano uvalwe ngalokusemthethweni indvuna lelitiko sikhumbuzo Dlamini.
Sitawuchubeka nemihlangano noma netifundvo letinjengaleti going forward. Wonke lo 5 years sitabe sifundzisa si-evaluate ukuthi leyo sikufundisile bayakuva yini basebenta njani obucopho tindvuna emalunga ephalamende letinkhundleni ezama-councils ngavele kumsebenzi selitiko lokuthi sibafundzise but-ke lobe sibanika kona nyalo siyethemba ukuthi basitile kakhulu batawuhamba baye emuva etinkhundleni bayosebenta.
Bahlonishwa labangenele lo mhlangano bathi kuningi labakufundzile kulo mhlangano lababuyela nako emuva etinkhundleni tabo.
Tinto latibekile ehulumende ikakhulu na i-concept yangwe concept lengwinyama levele sekudeclarishiwe ukuthi vele i-poverty nebusweti sekuyi-declared as a national disaster.
Ukuthi angeke ngikhone ukuchubeka nokusebenta uma kude libhuku lekusebenta emphakathini.
Nebantu batawubuya enkundleni uma ngabe kuphela nje sathi ukuthi sisebentela tinkhundla phela konke lesikwenda kwenkundleni sikwenda ngesystem yetinkhundla ngesikuvile lokho ngoba sikhethwe ketinkhundla vele.
Indvuna iphindze yanxusa kubambisana kwelibandla lenkundla lihambise embili lokho lokufunwa sive kude tinkhundla telive tithuthuke. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza naSmufa Shongwe kaManzini.
Litiko letempilo lithi nanoma umkhuhlane i-COVID-19 sewungesiso ke sehlakalo kuleli kepha sive ikakhulu kati bantu labadzala asichubeke siucaphele lo mkhuhlane kanti ke mabhalane lomkhulu kuleli tiko khanya yamabuza uthi lo mkhuhlane usengakapheli kuleli.
Nanoma sekubukeka kwangathi sekude umkhuhlane i-COVID-19 kuleli, kepha sibhedlela se-Look Commission lokungisona sisalalisa sivele sinalo mkhuhlane, sithi bantu labasishiyile emhlabeni kulomnyaka ngenxa yawo bali-15 kanti labaningi kulaba ngulabo labanesifo i-TB nalabo labangathathi kahle amaphilisi eligciwane le-HIV. Mabhalane lomkhulu etiko letempilo uthi nanoma lo mkhuhlane sewehle kakhulu kepha akusho ukuthi uphelile.
Abantu kufanele bathi ukhona umkhuhlane sengile issue ukuthi severity yawo nyala uthini nangabe abantu kube sebajovile nalise alisasi that virulence uba really strong ecaleni sho selide manje asilathi kusilona li developer siphi sisikhumba nyalo wakhanza silitawubuya khanza lesikhumba lesichamuka ngaso sesimatima kumcwaye ukuthi le tino besifundisa ngato titene kugeza tandla nabona khona somkhuhlane ufake lamamazi lo ngajova hamba yejova usekhona umkhuhlane.
Sive sithi njengoba ehulumende angakasho ukuthi uphelile lo mkhuhlane solo naso siucaphele.
Nathi sisabukile nje bodokotela ukuthi laba lebayadiko ukuyicwaninga lokuthi vele seyiphele mbamba yini lona luvalo sesekhona.
Sabona leli nani lehla lemkhuhlane satitshela ukuthi i-COVID-19 ayisekude.
Lesolo siyabona ukuthi mhlambe khona lesengakuva kahle ukuthi mhlambe sesingayekela donke letinfo lokase basitshela ngathi
sisatinaka ngoba phela vele nangabe kuhamba thine nje live lisala litelutho ngoba sisafundisa abantwana tinfo letiningi letitsitele.
I-Look Commission ithi ihlole bamfu labang-6,277 kulomnyaka kanti 201 wabo kukhanzakale ukuthi banawo lo mkhuhlane. Edinzabente Eswatini TV kubika Nelisiwe Ndlangamandla nginavuma inkosi inzinisa embabane.
Kuhamba kwabonesi lasebawati umsebenzi baye emaveni langesheya ngoba ke sebathole umsebenzi. Mabhalane lomkhulu etiko letempilo khanya emabuza uthi litiko litawithuthukisa inhlalakahle yabonesi kuleli liqinisekisa ukuthi abahambi bonesi kakhulu labo lasebawati umsebenzi.
Emavela ngisheya kwetilwandle aphume umkhankaso wekucasha tisebenti tempilo telivekati le-Afrika lokufaka ekhathi leSwatini. Litiko letempilo lithi licaphele ukuthi live lingatikhanzi lilahlekelwa tisebenti tempilo letinelwati.
Sineke lamaveni sesibuke indlela yokuthi asesibuke indlela usabonesi ke noma labodokotela ngimaphi leti besingabanika tona one ufuna ukwenza tekusebentela ukuthi lema working environment ukuthi le maveni funa kusemshini vele top of the range sebasebenzisa yona. So ubuke nje le ndlela basebenza ngayo bese ubuke indlela yabo labonesi nabodokotela nabonesi netisebenzi tonkana tetempilo ukuthi yilo ngenda ukuthi umuntu ahambe angibekise kulamanye amaveni nje ukwenza ukuthi lamanye amakhadas asavela athola ukuthi udaba nelone soft loan kuswakhe indlu udaba nebasari bantwana sekwenda ukuthi wena ngeke ngishele indlu yami la ngoba senginendlu lapho so nginethi sibuka ukuthi singadena njani la kangwana sikule stage ngesekubuka le ndlela esebenza ngayo futhi kulama facilities nendlela siholela ngabo le 7 December sesinawo ke le bill ephasile eParliament le health le act yethu yaseParliament ebuka tempilo ngulapho ke sitaphinda sibuka very very closely ukuthi le tempilo lesebenza khona sesingabuka kanjani sesebenzisa umthetho kukho lesikwenda kusilive sokuthi lo mthetho wapho uma sowuphasile nje soyobusiso sesitabuka indlela ukuthi singena kanjani kusitempilo la kangone tibene kusibani batinde bahlali bangahambi.
Bhalane lomkhulu uthi bayakhulumisana netinhlangosi letitsinzekako kufaka ekhathi tinhlangano tabo bonesi nabodokotela kubuka ukuthi yini lengendiwa ukuthi live lingagcini lilahlekelwa tisebenti tempilo lesetiwati umsebenzi. Edinzabente Eswatini TV kubika Nelisiwe Ndlangamandla nginavuma inkosi inzinisa embabane.
Inhlangano yembabane embuluzi Rotary Club seyinikelele ke tindzawo letintsatfu embuluzi ngekudla lokuyingcenye yalenhlangano yekubuyisela isivele.
Njalo ngeminyaka inhlangano yembabane embuluzi Rotary Club iyaye ibuke lapho kunesidingo khona emangweni lapho isebentela khona bese ke iphosa liche esivivaneni lokuyingcenye yokubuyisela isiveni kuleba kunikelelwa sive nalokubuya nakucancwa inzaba yesibebe. Imindeni lengamashumi isitakele kuyo ke lenhlangano ngaphansi kwendzawo yasembuluzi. Lo ake waba ngumengameli lenhlangano uthi ngomkhuba wabo kunaka umango lebasebentela kuwo.
Imali ke yaloku iphuma la esibebe lenye iphuma kubantu baseSwatini nangabe ukuthi benisedrobheni ngemhla ka2 na 3 kuDisemba nibabonile baka Rotary lapha ePick n Pay bebamile bacela lusido emphakathi bantu badlula nabaceda ukuthenga bafike baphosele boshukela baphosele bo rice nase kuhlangana konke lokho ke kugcwala la emabhakedeni so kuvela kubuya kubantu baseSwatini
nalabo ke labazuzile labanye bakhona batibongele.
Kungazi ukuthi kungaqini la kithi kungazi ukuthi nakulabanye kungaba njalo lapha bathethe khona kungathi kunganza kube kunengi nalabanye basitakale njengathi.
Siyabonga emsebenzini nesendela wona onke lamalanga.
Naletinye ke inhlangano nebantu phaca bayibambisa ke lenhlangano nayindlela umsebenzi lomuhle ukubuyisela isiveni njalo ngeminyaka etinzabeni ngengiyani imsibe kanti ithombe eqhamuka khona ke enhlanganweni yembabane Mbuluzi Rotary Club.
Ndzabeni temidlalo inhlangano yabothishela kuleli Swaziland National Association of Teachers seyimemetele ukuthi live la Kangwane litawudlalisa imidlalo yabothishela besifundza lesentasi nelvekati lase-Afrika ngeminyaka ke lotako ngenyanga yengci. Azike ngekusho kwamabhalane walenhlangano Mduduzi Vilakati lenhlangano itabe idlalisa lemidlalo kwesibili emlandweni wayo lapho khona live lagcina ukudlalisa lemidlalo ngeminyaka wa-2012.
Tawuvela noma latawukutala Kangwane about 11 countries onke amazwe akasadathu lefakazi boMozambique boSouth Africa boBotswana boMalawi nalamanye nabo-Angola boMadagascar batawukuta la Kangwane. Sibheke ukuthi kude bothishela labanye lakungenani labalinani lamambo tinkulungwane letisihlanu. Imali ke emhleli lesidzingako ukuze sihoste kahle lama-Sato Games ingaba kumbe isigidi nehalf yesigidi imali esidzingako singusinathi. So ke sithi ngoba siletha ibhizinisi eSwatini bosomabhizinisi baseSwatini nabosomabhizinisi bemdzawo baseSwatini sithi ke bonke bosomabhizinisi abavele kusinathi basibambise sizatohosta lama-Sato Games setobaniketa ibhizinisi. Imidlalo ke itawufaka ekhatsi lonke hlobo lathishela lokhubateki ngakhubateki ibhola etinyawo ibhola yetandla ibhola yabomake batubane volleyball tennis basketball kuswima ichess konke lokho kutabe kukhona. So imidlalo yethu itakhona ukuthi idlalo nanoma ngangibani ofisile kudlala ngemalunga asinathi ke kuphela lavumelekile ukuthi abe ingcenye yalomdlalo.
Mengameli wenhlangano yemidlalo yemabhayisikili lapha eveni Zwide Nxumalo uthi bashovi bemabhayisikili kudzingeka ukuthi bahlonyeliswe kahle kude batawukhuthateka ukuthi batimisele kulomdlalo. Licembu lemabhayisikili i-Forever Cycling Club beyibambe umcimbi wekuhlomelisa abashovi bemabhayisikili labahlukahlukene ngekubuka lendlela labachuthelene ngayo ngeminyaka wa-2023. Kanti-ke mengameli wenhlangano yemidlalo yemabhayisikili lapha eveni Zwide Nxumalo uchazile ukuthi imicimbi lefana nalena ihlose ukukhuthata ebashovi bemabhayisikili ekutheni batimisele kule michuthelwano letako.
The key message behind this event is just to reflect on the wonderful year that primarily the club has had, but also as the cycling community we have had. I think we are grateful, Loguti, in the course of our events. We haven't had major accidents, we haven't had deaths on the road, we haven't had a lot of other things that we see happening in other places.
Morgan Root longusihlalo walelicembu ubonge bonke bashovi bemabhayisikili labente kahle wathi ke imichuthelwano lehlukahlukene ikhonile kuphumelela kulomnyaka wa-2023.
I think after all of these awards, this is definitely going to encourage the cyclists to train harder, to perform better. So next year, at this time, definitely people want to be part of this. They want to receive these awards. They want to be acknowledged. So this is great motivation.
Anzike lo mcimbi bewuhlanganiswe etigabeni letahlukahlukene lapho khona ngaphansi kwe-Athletes Awards Muzi Shabangu uthole umhlomelo we-Most Championships. Nontsikelelo Mdluli ngaphansi kwabomake uthole umhlomelo we-Elite Women Champion bese kubobabe Kwanele Tshele uthole umhlomelo we-Elite Men Champion. Anzike letingijimi letinsatfu futhi ichazile ukuthi le mihlomelo itawubakhuthaza ukuthi badlale ngekudimisela kulo mnyaka lotako.
In events like this, I am motivated to keep on pushing, aiming for the best for Ulumnyaga Dotako.
I joined Cyclist 2021, which I'm less than 5 years, and this is the first time I'm being recognized at such a big moment. It feels awesome. So I think for me, it actually motivates me to actually do more.
Le award lena isho lokukhulu kakhulu kimi and yangikhombisa ukuthi angiqhubeke ngisebenze kakhulu because akusebi ngethwana lebekayifuna baningi. If ngida relaxa batayithatha kimi, so I have to keep on working hard.
Kanti ke tindlu tetindzaba nato tihlonyelisiwe lapho khona umsakazo wetitfombe Eswatini TV ithole umhlomelo we-media coverage ngekubuka ke indlela lesakade ngayo lemidlalo kulomnyaka wa 2023. Kubika Sifiso Nxumalo umbiko uhlanganiswa nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane. Mongosa sibuke nsimo selitulo sibahlo etmarket sitabuya sichubeke masinya.
Find them at Groove.
La i-ball beef ngalapha lema-salad beetroot ayisali bese sekuba nema-takeaway bese kuba khona lo mkhanza sekaphethe 6 wema-takeaway.
Right person's head when they come across a black cat or an owl.
A wingman is basically your friend who helps you, like, if you're trying to get with somebody, your friend is gonna help you start a conversation.
I won't lie to you, this guy's cheaters, all of them, all of them.
Asimizele sinimukele siyakuvusela nawo lo sanza kusivulela sichubeka nalo hlelo lethu lo mhla ekseni side kadonati indzaba debafelo kade sivetele ukuthi sitabe sikhulumisana nemcondzisi wenhlangano yomhluma Women and Youth Foundation inhlangano ke lena lebukele nje tindzaba kanye nemalungelo ebafelo kade lapha eveni bevakashele ke tifundza totine telive lapho khona bebatsingitsa tona tindzaba leti kakhulu kade nje ama challenges noma ke tinkinga letibhekene nebafelo kade lapha eveni. I'm joined by director wayo inhlangano lungelo zulu tosivetela nje kabanti leto inkinga labativetile bomake nekuva nje ukuthi ingabe basaxoxisana babuke ukuthi ingabe ama-solutions kungaba yini kuleto tinkinga leti. Zulu, siyabonga ukuthi ube naso namhla ekuseni, siyabonga ukuthi usivakashele. Ngiyathemba ukuthi kube khona disombululo mhlawumbe letidingitsile nabo bomake kepha singakafiki lapho kusichazela nje ukuthi sibonile nipostile kuma-social media pages enu ukuthi nibe nayo le mihlangano nakhulumisana nabomake nahlangana nabondaba zabantu nabo-magistrate kuva nje ukuthi vele kahle kahle letinkinga leti tingaxazululeka kanjani. Kuva nje ukuthi ingabe lama-challenges vele labawavedile bomake kube yini kakhulu labakhala ngakho.
Cha, asathe leli thuba Mthombeni sivusele amaswati siphinde sibonga ukuthi bese ngaba kulo msadi lomkhulu Even kuleli suku lalamuhla. Uthinza eyona dzathe wethu lathe sikukhulumisa kulama regional dialogues ethu tingcinamba tekumuqa kubafelokade imihlaba nesebahambile bobabe emadvodza abo emhlabeni bamucwa malunga emndeni bamucwa bobandla ncane bamucwa ngibo bonke bantfu ikakhulu leba nawo limasela etimalini ikakhulu ke lokho kwenteka ikakhulu ngesikhathi lapho khona live ligubha nako ingcwala ngoba sitakwati sitawuconza ukuthi ngesikhathi sesinako sengcwala ama structures imiphakathi ayisebenze ayidede inako iyema because sisuke sisengcwaleni. And so labo perpetrator ke ngulapho ke bese bathola khona lelithuba lokuthi bangayithatha lenako lemihlaba nabayithatha lemihlaba masinyane phinze bavele bakhe siyothi kwaphela umnyaka sifika ku February seca khona inako imiphakathi ukuthi ifunction full lo uyobe saqedile kwakha and so lokho ke kusitshela ukuthi ke ezisibanga mhluma sibone ukuthi ngasikhathi sinako sisamkhosi wengcwala lokuganga kuyanza lo mhlano lelathi sinayo lona ukuthi si create ama referral structures la khona adawuthi make uyashaya ofisini kaMhluma athi usuka enzaweni yakumathetha ngiyabekisa athi ngiyamuqa umhlaba kube melula ukuthi sishayele le-office landaba zabantu ngisho ngabe basengcwaleni bakuphi bakhone bona ukuthi bathinze emaphoyisa kuhanjwe kuyomiswa lo muntu lapha kokuthiwa akasemephi because lenzawo lakha kiyo inaki inemsindvo kuze kuphele ingcwala kuze kuvulwe naki imiphakathi ukuthi isebenze. Lokho sikhanze ukuthi kutasisebenzela because wonke umuntu kunenzima lafuna naku ayidlala nase basishayele sitalithinda le-office because siyasebenzisana nawo onke abondaba zabantu even sekumelula lokuthi indaba zabantu ashayele naku lo station commander lo khona kule region le ukuthi kunenzaba esefikile ngicela naku niyobuka lapha nibamise labe kunene. And so lokho ke kutasisida ke Mthombeni ukuthi lama cases ekumucwa inaki imihlaba anciphe kulesikhathi lesi and lokho kutakwenda ukuthi kube nalokuthula because ngibekise sikubo Christmas at the same time but siyakhala ukuthi somuce umhlaba la ufanele ukuthi upote khona iminyango ivaliwe because kunomsebenzi lokhona even. And so sizama lokuthi ke umsebenzi welive ukhona kuthula nako kubanjani and nalabantu lesibabukele nabakhala vele futhi lesito balithole despite ukuthi ku-even kunani kwenteka ini but nabakhala nalama structures nako lafanele ukuthi leti indzaba anako atiteke lokuthi nje ushaye ngelicingo amaphoyisa aphume lena ayothi manini ke lana kunemsindo kuletha kuthula emphefumulweni walo mvuloyo.
Kuva nje Zulu ukuthi mhlambe kulabo bomake labo labangakalitfoli mhlambe lenhlanhlelene ukuthi inyalo sekutaba naloko kubambisana namaphoyisa nabondaba zabantu mhlambe dinkinga tabo titawucadululeka bomake mhlambe lasebamucwa vele lo mhlaba nikhonile nikuba sida bona ukuthi mhlambe nizame ukuthi niba ubuyise umhlaba yabo.
Sikhonile Mthombeni ukuthi kwenako kuloko lomnyaka lona phinze sibaka Mhluma sikhona ukuthi bomake sibaside ngeke ke ngibe sure ngaledi nombolo engathi sisenda ema report ekuphela kweminyaka but le ngisho ngako there over 50 lesikhona ukuthi sinako sibaside countrywide lokubanga lokuthi kube possible lokuthi sibambisene kakhulu nama office lengiwo ufuna ukuthi ateke leti ndzaba leti ngicathi 2 weeks back ku-observer kuphumile besiye enako la enako eTicanvini la khona indlunkulu yangena yabulala emakhaya ebafelokade sasungumela e-student office la ndaba zamantombazini wahanjwa kwanako kwayobukwa labanye bebathi nabathi lo make ufuna ndvotsana kwakha lapha emasimini kuthiwe akakhiphe inkomo abe akhonda itolo sikukhonile ukuthi sikunciphise nalo mkhuba lo nalokuthi ke vele labanye lebamuciwe ama cases abo asaphenda because lokunye ufuna ukuthi si-investigate nathi siba kamhluma sithi nasimikisa ema-ofisini nako abondaba zabantu siyathi simixa info naku lengiyo ngencathi sifike sithi futhi sifune imisumbe yakuleyo ndzawo leyo sifune naku makhelwane basitshele kabantu ukuthi bathi kuthini lapha lekhaya la kunenkinga khona lo make siyakhala bamuce umhlabathi lamanye ke emthombeni lesingakakhona ukuthi engcenye vele basitakaleke bomake ngunaba lokhanza ukuthi lenvoza yakhe lilawu la khai kube khale elikhulu yangayi kuyomkhondela kanti itolo bebalima nankhaya emasimu nankhaya lamasimu ke akasiwo alamagagula yebo lamagagula bebathi bekahlawula lapha nale ndvodza yakhe but alakhaya lelikhulu nasathi maketala ngifuna kuwenta lokho utela amagagula isay lenganani because akusika lamagagula lapha so lawo ngilamanye lokhanza ukuthi vele asikhoni ukuthi siwasebente kuze kube nale sijubo noma nale lokufanele ukuthi umfu nakumfortise because vele wenze ulamabaleni ekhala elikhulu lawo vele asiniketa inkinga ukuthi siwasena njani because utathi umndeni lapha sesifuna kwenda ini vele wena lote ngayi lakhaya akasekho akasivelela lamasimu akho and so kuyinkinga lokho and so ngiko sizama lokuthi sigcizelele kubo babe batawuthatha nabathethe ukuthi kunhle kakhulu ukuthi umkakho hamba uyomkhondela ngoba nakala khale likhulu vele ude isay and so ngisho ngabe uvelwa ngutiphi inkinga ikakhulu inkinga temhlabathi angibekizwe ngishabe seba enakuliswana abanye ukhanza ukuthi seba bo magistrate bafuna bo peace binding but bafuna I peace binding lelakha but lenkinga lekhona lokuba silakhaya sinaku akube lokuvana akukho nguna ngomhlabathi itaba khona naku le peace binding kwesikhashana but lenkinga lekhulu lenkulu lebayibangako ngunanya umhlaba
so kuhambe kuphelele phinje Zulu vele lo make ugcina vele akhokhiwe la ekhaya uthini umthetho yakho neni kumvikela ukuthi angakhona ukuchubeka ahlala ngoba naye kakhe lapha lendlu yakhe nemvotsa yakhe nihambe nifike phi nabo bayalifola nilisudwe mavele bagcina sebaphumile kulelo khaya
bayalifola naku lo sitho mthombeni but ke ngifuna ukuthi sis understand ke lesiswati ukuthi nangakha nje ekhaya kithi angibekise ungikhanza ngilakhile naku lilawulami lelawulami asile lamagagula kokuqala bese ngalakha amagagula ukhanze sengilakhile ngisho ngabe kuthiwa ngakha indlu lenkulu ekhaya nangiyakha lendlu kunawe yes ngiyakha kunawe but akusika lamagagula uyabona ngoba lenkinga lekhona lokuthi wena uhlala emhlabathini wabani uhlaba emhlabathini walashongwe lolotala Zulu lo indvodza yakho akusilo umhlaba wakho and so lokuhlala kwakho vele uhlala emsela ngibekise lokhu nje unawo ungaka sethene sinakho sengiyafa encevele utaba nawo ma feelings uthi asengithola umfu lengahlekisana nawo nase bamati la ekhakhakho vele kutaba nalo bulukhuni lenhlalo yakho kephana bede bakethu iright ukuthi bangakususa la ngushiye khona mina indvodza yakho but lenhlalo yakho akusesimnanzi but at the end of the day lo bede iright ukuthi la ngushiye khona mina kulendwe ngushiye khona ungumkami bede bakethu iright ukuthi banako bakususa kepha sikubonile kuyenteka sikusebentile naku njengaleto bamcoshe vele lo make la ekhaya but then nakhona lokunye ukhanza ukuthi bese advise sithi uyathi lenhlalo ayisikahle utafa ushela abantwana asesibuke ukuthi ekhayini ke nawazama ukuthi ubile khona because ku pointless ukuthi sidakulwa indzaba vele ubuyele enawe ekhaya lakho but a year down the line sinako sofile noma so naku sohlaselo wendeka in and so lo umqondo igcina ukuthi lenzaba isebenze kahle nathi ukusithothisa ukuthi sisebenzile inzaba yakhe uhlede la kuphephe khona but nalakhala elikhulu we cannot guarantee lokuphepha kwakho ngoba ngisho bekuthiwa so ugcekezele sitawuthi ngibani.
Yeah, naye inkinga lenkulu. So from kule simo lese nje eZulu vele nihlangane nabo bomake nje because ngiyanasana lokuthi nina namalunga lamaningi nihlangane nawo bomake nibachazele nje nibafundzise ngayo le mithetho ukuthi umthetho esimende sikanje uthi nanaku niba nayo i-chance ukuthi nje nibafundisa ngomthetho nibatshele ukuthi babe ninane inkinga leka so nayo solution.
Siya kwenda mthombeni siyakwenda imvo sihlale siyenda onke malanga but kulokunye ukhanza ukuthi vele ingodo seyenza indlela so vele lo mfu ulapha sikhanza vele ulapha babe wafa vele naku amshiya lapha but ke sesibeseke sesichama nehlelo ukuthi sesikuvikela njani kunaba lebetako. We have ema programs lesida ukuthi notako siwaqalise nenhlangano yamanesi already senaku sisicedzile naku utrainer banaku bakasinathi ngoba lebasitupha kakhulu unama civil servant lokhathi utayithatha mthombeni iloni uhambe uyakha eKhabo Zulu yini ungathathi le loan ungayi koqaba la kakholikhaya because lokuba lamabaleni kumaketala ngivetile nana phambili ngokuthi ukhanza ukuthi nine bafati bethu nivuka ngabo 8 10 langa selila makwami nga 5 usuke sacedze konke sengela libala ngisho kupheka inaka incwancu and so kuze kungabi nalo kuwebhana vele asithathekele lona ke mthombeni sihambe siyokwakha la kethu likhaya lapho nawo usakhona ukuthi ube safe udakhona ukuthi uphephe but vele njengoba naku ubuta lama cases ayanza but kuwavikela ezukuthi siyabafundisa nisabafundisa but vele sesikhanza ingodo naku seyenza indlela lethi kunaba bafelokati libathi abakhona kusasa abantu ukuthi nabakha lapha eKhabo Zulu emathuba ukuthi angahamba kunayi buhlungu bayitolo lebahambe kiwo they are very high. Siyade ukuthi ke mthombeni kunemadvosa la leqinisako nje naku ingcondo athi ngifirst born ekhaya ngiphuma yebo siya appreciate lokho but bani nelawu lakho ekhaya lilawu belentela ukuthi na kunesifo lakhaya mina nefamily yami ndawusuka lekami umkama khona kungena abeke banifana lapha asebenze ekhaya kunemsebenzi wesihle nakhona bokwentela lokho hayi ukuthi umkama ahlale la ekhaya but siyathuze batakuzama ukuthi hey ngifirst born last born seswati angiphume ekhaya but kufuna bese uyatibuta ke uthi naso ngekho ke emhlabeni lo mfati wakho ke because ngimi lengathi bakethu uthi hey bomnakethu udzadzewethu nasengekho la ngabalihlupho nguzibani ngimlethelani ke umkami la nebantu bami dasasengekho emhlabeni bese naku bayahlushwa.
So in most cases vele kuba mhlambe ngilama in-laws lokho kanze ukuthi bamuca magodi lo mhlaba noma mhlamba akhona lama cases nje leni ke nawathola
kuba ngulama in-laws ikakhulu nkulu but nangihambe ngayo ukukhondela lesikutholako kuba ngulama structures noma kuba ingcenye la yabobandla kancane leba bese bayawuthatha ke lo mhlaba kunengi we have in records ma cases leswasebentile vele la sikhanze khona ukuthi bandla kancane ugangile lana bandla kancane na ugangile lana and kuloganga lokubanga ukuthi bese lo mhlaba unaka umthombeni uyamucwa nakulo makhe angibekise ushonile ngishonile mina nangishona mina kule period yakho ukuthi uhlete endlini ngula khona kwendeka konke lokuganga and lokunye lokubanga ukuthi lesikhathi lota sizila ugcoke led inzilo sitakwathi ukuthi awungena emphakathi nathi uthumela abantwana indlungulu etasa ikhuluma indlungulu lethi asikhulumi nako nebantwana and so kunengi ama factors labasi bamuce nakulo mhlaba but vele nahambe ukukhondela ama cases leswatfolile kuba nguleti indlungulu letimuca bafelo kade umhlaba
ingabe lemvotse bayende nje iwili yachaza ukuthi lana lo sengihambile emhlabeni ngishiya lazibani lelikhaya tawusala nazibani kuyasida yini lokho vele
iyasita inaku iwili ukuthi abantu bayibhale ibe khona. And lokunye mina ngicabanga ukuthi kufuna bese siyagcinisa kiko ngilokufundisa ekubalekeni ukuthi abantu abawabhale emawili. Yebo ke kuyahlupha ke kulesinye isikhathi ukuthi nakafanga ibhali vele lewi lo muntu ubashiya enkingeni ikakhulu if bhekana nesithembu kuba nalenkinga and lenkinga leyo iba bede kuphela umthelela kulabafati but bese kuwakha next abantu fana balenvoza bo bangavani lendlu le ayikhulumisi le ndlu la ayikhulumisi le, you understand? And so bese ke uyadibuta ukuthi ke if lo kunene vele lesithembu asithethe nasahambile lenkinga isalela labafati nabantwana bese bayazondana.
So kunoyeni ma cases la kwanza khona ukuthi imvoza seyihambile emhlabeni mhlambe mamkhulu senguye lokucosha umamncane la ekhaya.
Yes, see now akhona lawo ma cases lawo ukuthi vele mamkhulu nako amcoshe bamncane but ke nyalo ke kuba ngulabo mamncane ke ama cases esinawo lele bahluku beta labo mamkhulu. And so ngiko lesithi vele ekugcineni kwako konke emthombeni nangisa sithembu angihambe bafatwa bonke ngiyoba khondela bangahlali kanye kanye ngoba angibekise nayiphumelela indlu yalamagagula bafunza abantwana bakhe bacaca nangendeki ngala sengicabano leyo. And so kunenge nawo lele tingo leti bangathi bese lokuvana akusabi khona kulabantwana balo mufi loyo and bese nalamasimi ayabanga if uvele nginesithembu la khalana incenye ku dominate nabantu abanengi nakubafana laba lomfati lomncane bawukhanza umhlaba sewaphela encenye sengumsindvo kanjalo
sengumsindvo. Okay, kulomhlangano beninawo nje kule mihlangano beniba nayo originally benabo bo station commander nabo bondaba zabantu bathini bona ekubeni beve nje letikhalo tabo tebafelo kade
kokucala nje emthombeni wani umuntu ngicanga ukuthi lo sikhulume lamuhla sithanza kumaswadi athanza kubuye sibayene and inaku incumbi yale ma submissions lendeka bokhuluma abafelo kade ngekuhlupheka ngahlupheka iphela ngenza bayemhlaba bo master bo pension nakuphi nakuphi bana baveta. And so kulomhlangano lo kusithe ukuthi nako kuqale sibaya bese siyaba nako because wonke umuntu sokule mude ukuthi yalo ngigathile ukuthi nami ngidlala lichaza lelifanele bese nabo bosishin commander bathumela na department ya nako ilebukele nako domestic violence because didn't vote natasekhaya ngula khona ke emthombeni sabe sesithola khona ukuthi sitawubambisana ikhona ingcwala ayikho ingcwala sitawubambisana because angibekise baye bashangishe ebusuku umthombeni sibamcosha ebusuku nakashalo makuthe sebangicosha ebusuku la angeke sifike enako enhlangano but kumele lula ukuthi sidonse icingo sishayele lo phoyisa nakabona shawo bashaba kamhlumo utasukumela etula asebenze. And so kusithatha kakhulu ukuthi silokanya la nako la ama reflectional structures akheke kahle nako aqine lokuvelile ke vele kubondaba zabantu nokuthi ke bese banjiswe nako bakakhanga lomhlangano lo lokukhona lokukhule efuna sikwento nakotako lokuyi program yethu ukuthi sisende ema trainings abobandla ncane countrywide sikwendelana emthombeni lokho sibone ukuthi nasita uchubeka sitrain noma sikhulumisane nalabo make angeke kuseniketela ama results lesiwafunako nase sitrain labale the custodian of labantu lapha kutaba melula ukuthi nawuletha indzaba kithi sishayela le mvuna yena ke emphakathi kutaba melula ukuthi basukumele etulu because kustabe sesi team lokusebenza kwethu. And so lokho ke vele kudinga ama resources linako lamanengi but imbo ifuna ukuthi siyende kuze sinciphise lokukhala nako kwalabo make and lokunye ke lokuvelile office labondaba zabantu ukuthi vele le training yabondaba zabantu sifuna sike sihlangane sitrain because nalokujuba kwabo letindzaba nawuthi sebenta kwabo letindzaba akufanani emthombeni sifuna ukuthi ke lokufana nayo eshiselweni uyeka amanzini ukhanze kukunye lokusebenza kwabo
Yeah.
because manje lamaswati afuna kusinaka sethu nayindlela yokusiletha utrade indzaba ke adibedini lokunye lesikutholile abakhoni labanye abantu abazanto kuya because kude nayo imoto lokuthi titabathatha baye le and so ngilokunye ke lokubanga ukuthi vele leti indzaba tingatekeki kahle because akayiwa on the ground ngoba bathi ukhala ngani lo wekunene and so yesicansi nasta khona ukuthi uNkulunkulu asite nako nawutako lokusikwende titawuncipha leti indzaba leti maybe lona tika indzaba ya la farm dwellers
Sinesikhathi esincane nje 30 seconds.
Yes, and so ngicansi lokho unako utasila because etindzaba temhlabatini engakhulu but nje umfundla kasho ukuthi nguloko lokuchubeke sikusebenzisa siba kamhluma.
Okay, nosibonga kakhulu Zulu sesihamba ukuthi tonke tinhlelo tenu ditaba impumelelo eminyakeni lotako mbukeli bekunguyeke loyo director wayo inhlangano lebukele amalungelo abafulekade lapha eveni umhluma Women and Youth Foundation asisakhefu nasibuya sathi traffic update.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
It's 5 minutes before 7 o'clock. Sitawubuka simo somgwaqo lomhla ekseni na Constable Ntombenhle. Ndolo hasivusela lomhla ekseni kuhambeka kanjani emgwaqweni live?
Makagula ngivusele naye umbukeli wekusile breakfast show. Imigwaqo elivela kangwane sesihlolile. Imigwaqo leminengi imandi ikakhulu kati etindzaweni letiphakeme kwatise phela ukuthi solo sinawo umkhemetelo kusukela nje ngetithuba tasebusuku. Siyakhuthata nje ukuthi sive senkosi sisasebenzisa imigwaqo ukuthi la khona umgwaqo umandi khona litubane asilincithise kakhulu kuze ukuthi siphephe nekusho ke ukuthi kuletinye tindzawo ikakhulu kati emgwaqweni lolitiyela ukhanza kulesinye isigaba lamandise kemile la emgwaqweni sithi nje nangabe emandise uyawabona ukuthi emile asilinciphise nalapho litubane kwatise phela ukuthi asikhinya bedonge kwawo ayakwenda ukuthi bese ayamuka umshayeli imotolo nakahamba ngesibane lesisethu nawo ke emandila jubako esikhathini letinengi ikakhulu kati emigwaqweni le
Kakhulu ngaloko mbukeli kwangathi Constable Ntombenhle usilahlekele sitawo saselkhefu sabe sicubeke nehlelo.
Tis the season to be jolly. It's time to unwrap all our gifts, and Eswatini TV has a special present for all of you. It is the gift of music. Your favorite musicians tell us about all the beautiful memories they have made and shared.
So earlier gogo bekavamile ukusho ukuthi ngisengakuva nje mina le vote kuyaphi. She was never shy to say what she feels.
Can I do this?
Yeah. Can I live?
Can I live? So ngiyekeleni
ngishaya inkondlo ngiyekeleni ngishaya ingoma. I don't want to lie, Slaughter. I never aspired it.
I know. Well, most people tend to think I'm a cheese boy.
And all the while, of course, they share some beautiful music. Join us on Saturday at 5 p.m. only on Eswatini TV.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the news at 7. His Majesty King Mswati III and Your Majesty the Queen Mother led throngs of Emaswati in dancing the Little Ingwala on the first day of the ceremony. Emaswati attended this national event in huge numbers.
The nation came out in their numbers to join their majesties and be part of this historical event. The Ingwala ceremony started at a very high note. This follows the arrival of regiments from different parts of the country at Lutsitini royal residence, which marked the beginning of the Liti Ingwala. On the first day of dancing the Liti Ingwala, His Majesty King Mswati III and Her Majesty the Queen Mother led regiments in song. Also present during the Ingwala were the Makosekati to His Majesty, their Royal Highnesses, the Princes and Princesses, Bokoko Balondolos, the Prime Minister and other dignitaries. Ingwala remains one of Emaswati's cultural events that has lasted for hundreds of years. It is also one of the ceremonies that has greatly attracted tourists around the globe. On the news, Polile Mazia at Lutsitini Royal Residence.
The Deputy Prime Minister Thuli Dladla has applauded the great partnership that exists between Eswatini and the Republic of China and Taiwan, which grows stronger every day. The Deputy Prime Minister was speaking when receiving 400 tons of rice worth 8 million malangeni from Taiwan. This took place at the NDMA warehouse in Matapa on Thursday.
The ambassador of the Republic of China on Taiwan, Jeremy Liang, said committed to support Eswatini and eliminate poverty. He says the two countries have strong relations. The 400 metric tons are 100 more than that was donated last year.
This donation will reach out far to families in need and help mitigate the negative impacts brought by the climate change. Taiwan government is always willing to collaborate with the Eswatini government in food-related measures, policies, and programs. It means that we are ready to go ahead and beyond to strengthen the food security through cooperative initiatives that benefit all of the Emaswati.
The Deputy Prime Minister Thuli Dladla says they are delighted to receive the donation and they will take it to the most vulnerable in the country.
So on behalf of His Majesty's government, I'm delighted to receive this generous donation from the Republic of China, Taiwan, which consists of 400 metric tons of rice valued at over 8 million emalangeni. The donation in itself reflects the Republic of China Taiwan's unwavering commitment to partnering with the government of Eswatini in ensuring that every Leswati has access to food.
On another note, the Deputy Prime Minister says she visited a certain place in the Lubombo region where she was deeply touched to find that most children were not going to school. She says her office has already sent officers to register the children to ensure that they do go to school next year. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibu with Smuva Shongwe, Matsapa.
The Minister for Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, encourages sub-Saharan African states to fortify collaborative efforts that will see the development of the continent's agricultural sector. The minister said this in a validation workshop of the rescue plan for traditional African vegetables for sub-Saharan Africa, hosted by the Taiwan African Vegetable Initiative.
In his address, the Minister for Agriculture, Mandla Chauke, said the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is committed to which speaks to zero hunger.
Projects including the TAVI and Darwin initiative have further reminded us of the importance of the urgent need to not only to collect, conserve, and exchange plant genetic material, but also to share the substantial benefits arising out of the access to such information.
Taiwan Ambassador to Eswatini, Jeremy Liang, who was represented by Sophia Jiang, said farmers face difficulties in accessing quality vegetable seeds.
In Eswatini, tons of vegetables have been already sold to schools or market. And then more than 10,000 students and teachers, they will benefit from our nutrition education and our nutrition vegetables.
The African Union Commission representative Clement Ajololo highlighted that challenges such as obesity and hunger will worsen if unaddressed.
Data shows that Africa's vegetable intake is significantly below the recommended global requirement.
According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, 57% of sub-Saharan African population cannot afford a healthy diet. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Swekoza with Notsiles Tole Babane.
The Ministry of Finance is nearing the final stages of developing the integrated financial management system and the electronic government procurement system. This was said by the Minister of Finance, Neil Reichenberg, when responding to questions on what the ministry is doing to combat corruption, especially during procurement.
There has been an outcry from the public about the mismanagement of funds from some government ministries. The Minister for Finance, Neil Reichenberg, says a solution to this is underway.
We are now in the final stages of getting the agreement, actually signing the agreement. So the agreement with them is currently with the AG's office, and hopefully will go to Cabinet by still in December. That will mean that in January already, we can actually start the rolling out now of the new IFMIS system. The new IFMIS system is a very holistic system, as these very clever software packages do, financial software packages. And it makes sure that it, from procurement stages, in fact, one of the first modules rolling out is e-procurement, is to make sure that our procurement system is actually done online and can be done a whole lot easier with possible, bidding systems online to be able to manage our procurement in big files every time. Once you're registered in the system, it means that you are open for whatever procurement comes along.
The minister also responded as to whether this system will help in the procurement of drugs in the Ministry of Health, where alleged mishandling of funds has been cited as crippling the health sector.
This is a joint problem between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health, where we are really trying to, let's call it, clean up the books. And so for a long period of time in the Ministry of Health, there were drugs being purchased without proper ordering systems. And so, but because of that happening for a long period of time, there's now a big cleanup needed on accounts that are just not balancing, people that have supplied drugs that haven't got proper orders for it. They can't even get in paperwork to Treasury because there's no audit.
The minister says in the next 5 years, his ministry will focus on supporting projects that will grow the economy. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
The Minister of Dinkhundla, Sikhumbuzo Dlamini, says the ministry will conduct constant engagements with Dinkhundla elected officials for the socio-economic development of the country. The minister was speaking during the closing ceremony of the Dinkhundla elected officials of the Manzini region.
The Ministry of Dinkhundla Administration and Development has concluded the induction conference of Dinkhundla elected officials, which started last month. The Minister of Dinkhundla, Sikhumbuzo Dlamini, said the ministry will conduct constant engagements with the elected officials.
Going forward, wonke lo 5 years sizabe sifundisa si-evaluate ukuthi leyo sikufundisile bayakuva yini basebenza njani ngokucopota indvuna yamalungu eParliament letinkhundleni ezama-councils ngavele kumsebenzi selitiko lokuthi sibafundise but ke lo besibanika kona nyalo siyethemba ukuthi basitile kakhulu batawuhamba baye emuva etinkhundleni bayosebenza.
Interviewed Dinkhundla elected officials said they have learned quite a lot from the meeting.
Into latibekile uhulumende ikakhulu na i-concept yangwe concept lengwinyama levele sekudeclarishiwe ukuthi vele i-poverty nebusweti sekuyi-declared as a national disaster.
Ukuthi angeke ngikhone ukuchubeka nokusebenza uma kude libhuku lekusebenta emphakathini.
Nebantu batawubuya enkundleni uma ngabe kuphela nje sathi ukuthi sisebenzela tinkundla phela konke lesikwenda kwenkundleni sikwenda ngesystem yetinkundla ndesikuvile lokho ngoba sikhethwe ngetinkundla vele.
The minister also encouraged teamwork amongst the Dinkhundla Council for socio-economic development of the country's constituencies. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkal Siwekoza with Simova Shongwe, Manzini.
The Ministry of Health urges the nation to continue being vigilant for COVID-19, despite that the number of people contracting the virus has dropped this year compared to the previous years. The Principal Secretary Kanya Mabuza said this after he was asked where the country stands now with regards to COVID-19.
With the Luke Commission saying 15 people have succumbed to death due to COVID-19 this year, the Ministry of Health has reminded the nation that Eswatini has been cleared of COVID-19. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Kanya Mabuza, says following all the health protocols, which include washing of hands and wearing a mask when one has flu, are still a necessity. He says the coronavirus continues to mutate, so people should not let their guard down.
Abantu ufune bathi ukhona umkhuhlane sengile issue ukuthi severity yawo nya uthini nangabe abantu kube sabajovile nalise alisasi that virulence uba really strong ecaleni sho seli demand asilathi kusilona li developer siphi sisikhumba nya wakhanza silitawubuya khanza lesikhumba sichamuka ngaso sesimatima kumcwaye ukuthi letino besifundisa ngato titene kugeza tandla nabona khona somkhuhlane ufake lamamazi lo ngajova hamba yejova usekhona umkhuhlane.
Some members of the public say with the COVID-19 regulations being relaxed, they began to gain laxity as they felt that it was no longer severe.
Nathi sisabukile nje bodokotela ukuthi laba lebayadika ukuyicwaninga lokuthi vele seyiphele mbamba yini.
Sabona lelinani lehla lemkhuhlane satitshela ukuthi i-COVID-19 ayisekude.
Khona lesengakuva kahle ukuthi mhlambe sesingayekela donke letinfo lebasitshela ngathi
sisatinaka.
Some said they are still cautious as Eswatini has not yet been declared COVID-free. The Luke Commission, which is the only facility that does admissions for COVID-19, has stated that 6,277 tests were done this year and 201 came positive. Most of those who lost their lives due to COVID-19 had untreated tuberculosis and HIV in the background. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
With many Western countries recruiting health workers in the African continent, including Eswatini, the Ministry of Health has said it is making means to retain those with experience and skills. This was said by the Principal Secretary Kanya Mabuza when he responded to questions on what government is doing to retain these experienced health professionals.
The Principal Secretary says the welfare of nurses should take priority as the Western countries lure them with high positions and higher incentives. He also says they have to improve the working conditions, further stating that there is a bill already in Parliament which seeks to address these issues.
Sineke lamaveni sesibuke indlela yokuthi athe sibuke indlela usabonesi noma labodokotela ngimaphi leti bese ngabanika tona one ufuna ukwenza tekusebentela kusho lema working environment ukuthi le maveni ufuna kusemshini vele top of the range sebasebenzisa yona so ubuke nje le ndlela basebenza ngayo bese ubuke inhlala yabo labonesi nabodokotela nabonesi sebenje tonkana tetembile ukuthi yilo ngenda ukuthi umuntu ahambe angibekise kulamanye amaveni ukuthi lamanye ama-cadres asavele athola ukuthi udaba ne-loan soft loan ekusiwakhe indlu udaba nebhasari ebantwana sekwenda ukuthi wena ngeke ngisho le ndlu yami la ngoba senginendlu lapho so nginethi sibuka ukuthi singadena njani la kangwane sikule stage ngesekubuka le ndlela esebenza ngayo futhi kulama facilities nendlela esiholela ngabo le 7 December sesinawo ke le bill ephasile eParliament le health le act yethu yaseParliament ebuka tempilo mulapho ke sitaphinda sibuka very very closely ukuthi le tempilo lesebenza khona sesingabuka njani sesebenzisa umthetho kukho lesikwenda kusilive sokuthi lo mthetho wapho uma sowuphasile nje soyobusiso sesitabuka indlela ukuthi singena njani kusitempilo la kangone tibene kusibantu batinde bahlali bangahambi.
The Principal Secretary continues to say they are consulting with different stakeholders, including nurses organizations, to find solutions to their exodus. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
The Mbabane Mbuluzi Rotary Club has donated food hampers to needy residents of Mbuluzi. This is part of the organization's corporate social responsibility project.
Annually, the Mbabane Mbuluzi Rotary Club usually identifies places where there is a need, then donate as part of its corporate social responsibility. The club has since donated food hampers worth 26,000 Amalangani to 40 families around the Mbuluzi area. This is through money collected from Sibebe Challenge and other donations from the public. The club's past president, Timothy Mabaso, says they hope that these will make a difference to the residents, as small as it may seem.
Imali ke yaloku iphuma la eSibebe lenye iphuma kubantu baseSwatini nangabe ukuthi benisedrobheni ngemhla ka2 na 3 kuDisember nibabonile baka Rotary lapha ePick n Pay bebamile bacela lusido emphakathi bantu badlula nabaqedza ukuthenga bafike baphosele boshukela baphosele bo rice nase kuhlangana konke lokho ke kugcwala la emabhakedeni so kuvela kubuya kubantu baseSwatini.
Thandazile Kunene and Babemncina thanked on behalf of the beneficiaries.
Kungazi ukuthi ngaqini la kithi kungazi nakulabanye kungaba njalo lapha bathethe khona kungathi kunganza kube kunengi nalabanye basitakale njengathi.
Siyabonga emsebenzini nesendela wona onke lamalanga.
Other organizations and individuals also financially assist the club now and again. Reporting IMKN MCB, visuals provided by the Mbabane Mbuluzi Rotary Club.
International news: Palestinian militants carried out one of the deadliest single attacks on Israel soldiers since the Gaza invasion began, killing at least 9 in an urban ambush, the military said on Wednesday. A sign of the stiff resistance Hamas still poses despite more than 2 months of devastating bombardment.
It's their highest number of casualties on the battlefield in over a month. The Israeli military says its forces had been trying to rescue another group of soldiers when they were ambushed by Hamas militants in the Shujaiya district of northern Gaza, with 9 dead. An additional soldier was killed in separate clashes on the same day. 2 senior commanders and several officers were among the dead. Hamas says this should be a lesson to Israel.
The longer you stay there, the greater the bill of your deaths and losses will be, and you will emerge from it carrying the tale of disappointment and loss, God willing.
Heavy fighting in Shujaiya continues. Despite its losses, Israel says it is winning in the north.
This war is going to be tough, but I recognize, surely you also see this in your material, the start of Hamas breaking. I see there as the start of an understanding that we are determined to continue until the end and to destroy this entity.
There is also intense combat in the south. Overhead, warplanes bombed the length of the strip. This was the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike on a residential building in Khan Yunis. Several were killed and dozens injured. People here say they don't know where else to go.
We thought it was safe, but look, they struck here. 2 days ago they struck there. Many were killed. God help the people. No place in Khan Yunis or the Gaza Strip is safe.
International agencies say the limited aid reaching Gaza is only being distributed in parts of Rafah near the Egyptian border. Gazans are not only grappling with Israeli bombardment, but also with heavy wind and rain. On Wednesday, aid officials said the conditions are compounding the misery of hundreds of thousands of displaced families sleeping rough in makeshift tents.
A barrage of Russian missiles targeted Kyiv on Wednesday, wounding at least 53 people. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 10 ballistic missiles towards Kyiv and all were intercepted by air defenses, but their debris struck homes and a children's hospital.
Firefighters scrambled to beat back raging infernos as they ravaged several Kyiv. The damage could have been much worse had Kyiv's forces not intercepted 10 Russian ballistic missiles, causing loud explosions, while debris fell on parts of the capital. Like many homes here, Petro's flats felt the full force of the blasts.
We were just sleeping. It is fortunate that we were covered with a blanket. If not for the blanket, we would have been covered with glass. The whole apartment is covered in glass.
Over 50 people were left injured in the attack, including 6 children. Falling rocket debris also damaged the district's water supply system. It brings back dark memories of last winter when Russia's heavy bombardment on Ukraine's energy infrastructure left parts of the country without heat, light or running water. 21 months into the conflict, and Ukrainians still can't wrap their heads around why Russia is doing this.
Let that Putin, let Dmitry Medvedev, that government in Russia, hear me. What are they doing? What's wrong with their brains? What's wrong with their heads? Today, in the 21st century, they can make such a mess and throw rockets at Ukrainians.
This attack is the latest reminder that Russia is still committed to this war. According to the British Defence Ministry, Moscow has been stockpiling air-launched cruise missiles from its heavy bomber fleet. This while Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues to call on Western allies to send more supplies for Kyiv's dwindling air defense systems and ammunitions.
The House on Wednesday authorized the impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, with every Republican rallying behind the politically charged process, despite lingering concerns among some in the party that the investigation has yet to produce evidence of misconduct by the president.
Ramping up the pressure on Joe Biden, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to formally launch an impeachment inquiry into the president and his family's past business dealings.
We've spent months in this investigation accumulating evidence. We have a simple question that I think an overwhelming majority of Americans have. What did the Bidens do to receive the tens of millions of dollars from our enemies around the world?
Republicans accused Joe Biden's son Hunter of having unlawfully profited from his father's position as vice president under Barack Obama as he conducted business in Ukraine and China. An informal probe launched in September already saw investigators sift through some 40,000 pages of subpoena documents and dozens of hours of key testimonies, but they have so far found no evidence of wrongdoing. Wednesday's vote will now formalize the inquiry, giving Republicans more power to obtain documents and force the White House to cooperate. Democrats, meanwhile, are denouncing a politically motivated attack meant to weaken Joe Biden ahead of the 2024 elections.
These Republicans, they don't work for you, the American people. They work for Donald Trump. He says jump, they respond how high. This whole thing is an extreme political stunt. It has no credibility, no legitimacy, and no integrity.
If found guilty, Joe Biden could become the fourth sitting U.S. president to be impeached. But even then, he's highly unlikely to be removed from require a 60% vote by the Democrat-controlled Senate.
The war between Israel and Hamas means the economy in the West Bank is suffering. Employees of the Palestinian Authority have not been paid properly in weeks, and work permits for Palestinians working in Israel have been revoked.
In one of Ramallah's industrial zones, Abu Mohammed Yaqub, a metal fabricator who makes grills for windows and gates, says since the war started in October, customers have little money and checks from those who have put in orders usually bounce. He says prices from his suppliers have skyrocketed.
No one can go to Israel to bring supplies because travel permits have been taken away. That's why products and raw materials are more expensive. Anyone who still has stock from before the war is selling it at higher prices too.
Permits to work in Israel have been revoked too. According to the Palestinian Ministry of the National Economy, since October 7th, Israel has revoked travel permits for as many as 130,000 Palestinians who previously worked or did business in Israel, making it hard, if not impossible, for them to earn a living. Israeli politicians have cited security concerns over Palestinians entering Israeli territory as the main reason. But problems with the West Bank's economy due to the war do not end there. Because the West Bank does not control its borders, Israel collects import taxes on its behalf. Since October, the Palestinian Authority, which administers the West Bank, has refused to accept the tax payments in protest after Israel sought to withhold some of them due to the war in Gaza. Since then, the PA has not been able to fully pay employees, like Muafe El-Bagouti, who works in a department focused on countering Israeli settlements in the West Bank.
Of course, the economic situation affects us, but we have to cope with the conditions imposed by the occupiers. The Israelis say it's to avoid paying salaries for terrorists' families. But this is an Israeli policy targeting every Palestinian.
El-Bagouti says he has received only around 17% of his usual pay in the last 3 months. More Israeli check roads are causing problems too.
The impact of the Israeli checkpoints is significant. It means agricultural products that need to be moved rot, and products are damaged and delayed. Everything takes more time, gas, and transportation expenses, making products unprofitable for Palestinians.
On whether there's an end in sight to the West Bank's economic woes, one expert said Israel will likely have to let Palestinian workers back in eventually.
They're talking about starting from perhaps doing gradually different ages or doing more security checks. I'm not sure they're doing it at the right pace, but I think this is going to happen. How quickly? Let's see.
There's concern among political commentators that unless something is done soon to end the squeeze in the West Bank, it could lead to civil unrest and more security problems for Israel.
In its war against Ukraine, Russia may not have established military superiority, but it has been successful at electronic warfare. It's now using its edge to disable Ukrainian GPS-guided drones and Western high-precision weapons.
This video shows Ukraine forces destroying Russia's electronic warfare system Pole-21. The system creates radio interference and suppresses signals from navigation satellites, including GPS. And that's what the Ukrainian army relies on to aim its combat aviation, artillery, and missiles. U.S. military expert Philip Carber visited Ukraine in November and was on the front lines.
The Russians have developed and are using a new electronic warfare system. And at least on a portion of the front, it's not clear how much of the area, and so forth, but it's about 40% effective. It is essentially distorting their location, so these munitions aren't hitting their targeted at.
James Lewis with the Center for Strategic and International Studies says the Soviet Union and later Russia has historically been good at electronic warfare.
All of the things you've heard about Russia are true. It is a meat grinder. Their troops are ill-trained. They're badly equipped. They aren't very good at planning. It's a benefit for them to be on the defensive because they don't have to think as much. One area where that's not true, though, is electronic warfare. Building on their work that goes back to the last century, the Russians are strong in EW.
Brian Clark with the Hudson Institute says Russia started using electronic warfare about 6 months after it invaded Ukraine.
By jamming GPS, by jamming radio communications, the Russians are making it difficult for Ukrainian troops to be able to coordinate with each other because their radios are sometimes not working. And the biggest effect is on GPS because most of Ukraine's weapons are GPS guided.
Yet Ukraine is also learning how to use EW.
I got this little gadget. Thanks to it, I've already downed a few kamikazes.
So Ukraine's been using these same techniques very effectively against Russia, and they're building new systems to do it better. So you'll see, hopefully, some of these Shahed missile or Shahed UAVs miss their targets because they're being jammed.
Experts say sanctions are forcing Russia to use its own government technologies, while Ukraine has access to private startups, foreign companies, and Western technologies. In their 2022 study, the Royal United Services Institute calculated that in the first months of the war, Russia's EW disabled about 90% of all Ukrainian drones and considerably interfered with the work of aviation. And what's more, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has drawn the world's attention to EW.
So at least on the military side, there's an awareness that this is a place where we need to be able to fight and to overcome our opponents, to overcome Russia.
In the recent aid packages sent to Ukraine, Western countries have supplied EW systems. Yet experts advise Ukraine and NATO to invest more in developing an electronic antidote to Russia's EW systems.
So it's very much a very dynamic situation where the technology changes really quite rapidly. And I think the best thing that Ukraine and its partners can do is continue to adjust, continue to put the money into identifying, analyzing, and then countering Russian EW equipment.
Lewis added the EW developments are watched closely, not just by NATO, but China as well.
Russian peace activists say authorities are stepping up restrictions on freedom of expression ahead of next year's presidential elections in Russia as Moscow's war against Ukraine drags on. Activist Alexandra, who faces a 10-year prison sentence for expressing her opposition to the war.
Alexandra Socholenko is a Russian artist and peace activist who, at the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, went to a supermarket in her native city of St. Petersburg and switched the price tags of products, replacing them with anti-war slogans. That led authorities to charge her with discrediting the Russian army. And after a year and a half of so-called preventative detention, she has been sentenced to 7 years in prison. We are showing drawings that Alexandra makes in prison, where we are told she is suffering physically and psychologically. The person relaying this is Sonia Sobotyno, Alexandra's partner, who sees the future with pessimism, especially after the Russian government this month included the LGBT community on its list of extremists, along with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State militant group.
I honestly don't have any hope. The situation in Russia is now very difficult, and it's getting worse every day. Now I am an extremist simply because I am a lesbian. I have never hidden it, and now I fear that they may apply the penalty for extremism to Alexandra, which goes up to 10 years in prison.
Linguist Svetlana Drugovaiko was one of the experts called by the defense to examine materials used to accuse Alexandra. The linguist's conclusions were clear. There was nothing in Alexandra's actions that could be considered an insult to the Russian army, and her report pointed out what she said was a lack of professionalism in preparing the materials. She says the documents failed to invoke any laws on the experts' activities, mentioned the criminal code without proper explanations, and included the use of poor grammar.
I saw how unprofessional it was. It was written violating the basics of the Russian Federation legislation.
After presenting her expert opinion, Svetlana was removed from her position as a professor of language study for 40 years at St. Petersburg State University, accused by a commission of professors of committing an immoral offense. She found the language humiliating, since it was the same as the university used in 2019 to expel a professor who murdered and dismembered his lover, a university student. Critics say Alexandra's prison sentence and Svetlana's expulsion from her job are a clear sign that the repression is now directed not only against politicians, but also against civil society at large. Nikolai Rybakov is chairman of the liberal Yabloko party. He views the sentence as an attempt meant to deter other activists.
This harsh sentence is to prevent others from doing pretty much the same but on a massive scale or from taking their causes to the next step. This is why they feel the need to put an end to these initiatives from the very start, to make others be scared.
Russia has set presidential elections for March 17th of next year, and there is concern that restrictions on freedom of expression will be tightened further.
There are unfortunately many grounds to believe that after the elections, the situation will be more tough and very likely much more tough.
Hopes for pacifists like Alexandra that her sentence will be reduced seem very distant as Russia enters its second winter of war.
In our sports news, Swaziland National Teachers Association has confirmed that the Kingdom of Eswatini will host the 2024 Southern Africa Teachers Organization Games, which are sports games for teachers from all the regional countries in August next year. The association Secretary General Mduduzi Vilagati says the country last hosted such an event in 2012. A budget of 1.5 million amalingeni is needed to host the games. The Association President Zwiteng Malo says motivating cyclists through events such as awards is one way of ensuring that they remain committed to the sport. Malo mentioned this during the Forever Cycling Club Awards, which were held at Happy Valley Hotel, Ezulwini. We've come to the end of our news. Thank you for staying with us. We will quickly take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Mhlasiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni. It's 1.4 million emalangeni set for Ingwenyama Cup. It is the most celebrated football tournament in the land. Fabrice Msonera joins us in the studio to unpack that and other sporting developments. Welcome to the program, Fabrice. The last 32 of the Ingwenyama Cup has been drawn. Exciting fixtures there. Maybe just the excitement, really. Let's talk about it first, because I do see how much it's been celebrated. In fact, ever since Monday, it has been the topic of conversation till today. Cup, and it's surprising because it's only being played in January.
It's being played in January, and I think, I don't know what to say. I think this is one of, it's actually not even one of the, it is the biggest tournament in the football history in the country. We've seen in the past international media coming to cover the event, which shows the magnitude of the event, culture being mixed with sports, and then I think we have to thank His Majesty King Musashi III for bringing a tournament of this magnitude. And I think if you see, just you have to play 6 games for you to be a millionaire. 6 games and you're a millionaire. So for me, I think the tournament is here now. It started at the regions now. We have regional finals this coming weekend at Kusile. So the champion walk away with 40,000. But in as much as the champions of the regions will be awarded this coming weekend, but the 4 teams within the regions will then join the other 28 teams, which is 14 Premier League, 14 National First Division, to make 32 teams that were drawn then on Tuesday. 32 teams were drawn on Tuesday, and this is the actual fixture. And if you look at the fixture, maybe you can look at the defending champions. So you want to ask yourself, on the right side of the screen, these are Premier League teams that are, including National First Division. So the way they are standing is the way the current log of the league is. So that's why you have got Grimamba, you've got Babane Swallows, Royal Leopard, and Madlenya. That's how the league is standing currently. But the chance is that the defending champions are on top with the Nyamane Classic. Babane Swallows always Spurs. We once saw this fixture, I think it was 2018-2017 edition of the Ingwenyama Cup, and Swallows it was easy for them to cruise into the next round. But the tricky fixture that we're waiting for, look at Babane Highlanders and Black Swallows, Pigs Black Swallows. And then you have to go down, and look for Manzini Wanderers and Sisonke. We had this fixture, I think, 2019, and Sisonke managed to defeat Manzini Wanderers. So who knows what could be cooked this time around. So
especially with Manzini Wanderers' current state.
Yeah, with current state. And I think, like we highlighted, there is crisis in Manzini. Look at some of the Manzini sides. Manzini, Denver Sunons playing Malahleni. You've got Marine Pirates playing Pigs Rangers, and then you've got 7 Dreams against Kola United, and then Louis 14, who's going to play between Tabangul Celtics and Malandi Chiefs. But it's been confirmed that Tabangul Celtics is the team that is going to play Louis 14. This is based on the points, because they have to look at the points in terms of the log standing in.
So Malandi is out.
Yeah, it's out. So for me, when you look at this tournament, like I said, 6 games, they are champion. Then at some point, the way we're heading, I'm looking at, this is probably more than 6th edition, we might have a situation where in the next 7-8 years, where winning the Ingwenyama Cup might give you a ticket to play in the CAF competition.
Wow.
We know the league.
That would be great.
Yeah, the league takes you to the CAF Champions League. So chances are, the way we're moving, chances are, Ingwenyama Cup will take you to CAF Confederation.
And I mean, Fabrice, I'm looking at the full prize breakdown, and like you said, Sekutalwandle. Now Buganje, Kutsi Labantu by incentivized Kangagan. The champions, they walk away with 1,400,000 Malangeni. The runners-up with more than 500,000, which is 530,000 in Malanga, and you have the semi-finalists and the losers, who also get, a lot of money. But also the individual prize category is very interesting. 15,000 in Malanga for the play of the tournament. And maybe let's take this moment to maybe hear your prediction in terms of who's going to take the whole thing.
I think I don't have really to go that far, because it's a knockout tournament. There are surprises in the knockout tournaments, because you see that the league is a marathon. The league is a marathon because you are able to see day-to-day performance of the team. Some of these teams, we don't get a chance to see them daily. I think myself, when last did I see Sisonke playing, We don't know what they are cooking. 7 dreams. There's another fixture that I didn't mention that I think is going to be of the utmost importance. Obombo Flyers and Young Buffaloes. So for me, it's up to anyone's success. So I think I will give it between Green Mamba, Bafana Swallows, and Young Buffaloes. The 3 teams have a chance to lift it. And remember, Bafana Swallows has a record of winning it 3 times in a row.
Right.
And then you've got also Green Mamba on one occasion, Young Buffaloes. We actually yesterday joking with one of the colleagues to say, whenever a tournament, they have to make an ambassador. They look at your history in the tournament. For instance, we're talking to Taribo Pembe saying, we can't make you an ambassador of Ingonyama Cup because you didn't win the tournament even once. But you've got 7 trade fair cups on your under your belt.
I just feel like you guys are haters, but that's all right.
Go and be an ambassador of trade fair cup. But you've got players like Tony Tititsabetse, former Venezuela's captain, lifted it next to His Majesty King Mswati III 3 times. That is massive. And
very
I think
prestigious
he still
well.
have that in his mind that I won that on 3 occasions and I was handed the trophy by His Majesty King Mswati III. So I think that would be a good idea to maybe one day see him as an ambassador. But for me, the 3 teams stand a chance. Bafana Swallows, Green Mamba, Young Buffaloes.
Interesting. Fabrice, I'm not going to predict anything. I'm not a pundit, I'm not like you, but I will tell you one thing. I know for sure the media prize category, best digital electronic media is coming to Eswatini TV. That I can say confidently right now, and maybe we can bet even on air in front of the whole nation.
I like that, because if you look at all the editions that were played, the category of best electronic media, we've been able to sweep all those awards in the past.
Because we are the best, and it's without a doubt.
So yeah, and then when you get to the personal category, at some point we had 1 or 2 occasions where a local in-house a journalist was awarded
you don't want to mention their name. You feel like what happens if you mention their name? All right, but you mentioned Taribo's name, which is funny to me. Anyway, let's move on, Fabrice. I'm happy you mentioned Young Buffaloes, Green Mamba and Bafana Swallows having the biggest potential to win it all. That's a perfect segue to the local fixtures for this coming weekend. They will go up the screen. But here we go. In Singizini Hotspurs, the Shiselweni side face Denver Sundowns to start off the weekend. It is being played at 1:30. It's going to be an interesting one, according to me, because whenever Singizini plays, as a Shiselweni person myself and a fan of Singizini Hotspurs, I always go in the game with hopes to win, but they surprise me sometimes. We're very inconsistent, but I'm quite confident going into this weekend.
Yeah, they have got issues to sort out in terms of maybe the performance. They haven't got the right track in terms of how they're doing things.
We just got a sponsorship.
There's also inconsistency.
Really
yeah, but I like that what you're saying. Behind the team, in terms of what's happening behind the doors, the sponsorship, the taking care of the team, everything is being done. But there is an issue of
training
facility. There's an issue of what's happening on the field of play. I think the team is not really clicking yet. There is inconsistency in terms of lineups and everything. So once they get that on track, and anything can change. And who knows, maybe they're looking for clinching the Ngonyamaka. But that game against Denver Sundowns on home soil should be an easy one, because they'll be in Shiselweni at the King Sobukwe Memorial Second. Look at Madlenya. I'm worried for them because they could face a second defeat of the season. Their first defeat of the season was against Green Mamba. Who knows? Let's see what happens again. Young Buffaloes.
Probably losing that one as well.
Yeah. But for me, we get back to the fixture again. Look how they're standing. 13 and 14. Nothing has changed. For me, the game of the weekend, it's Mbabane Highlanders, Manzini Wanderers. Manzini Wanderers have got a new coach who is former Monani Pirates coach, a Kabot Masocha. We've seen him, Kabot Masocha, also being at Denver Sundowns. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, Highlanders Wanderers. It's another A-game fixture. I once again want to say I have a challenge with how we operate in the country's field. So this is your Manchester City, Liverpool. This is your Arsenal, Chelsea. This is your A game in the league. So you cannot really put it in a small crowd area. So we need to get these games. At this point in time, the game has been played it has been staged at Mavuso Sports Center. This is what we want, more of a safety area. But we've seen in the past, you can't take a game of this magnitude just really in das Shiselweni. Not to say that there's anything wrong about Shiselweni, but I'm talking about the venue where you have your no man's land. You've got Galanga Stadium. But look at the game, the magnitude. Highlanders wants to be back to winning ways, make sure that as the league is progressing, they move up and they leave that relegation zone. So anything to go by on
Coach
Saturday.
Coach Nyanga stays with the Wanderers as Ichabod joins them, and I understand he comes in with Percy Shongwe. It's going to be an interesting, team to work around, and for them as well as the coaching staff, how they really work around. Perhaps they might come out with a win for Wanderers. Take it out the doldrums. It's looking bad for Wanderers.
You know what I normally don't get or don't like. You don't get a coach like Nyanga. Okay, Nyanga, we've had him with a lot of excuses saying that team is not doing this because of that. Maybe to some extent he's right, because there's lack of finances and a better treatment from the management of the team. But now this is a coach that has somehow made a name in the country. You just then offer him a chance to be out of the door, and don't make him a second choice behind Ichabod Masecha. Ichabod Masecha was failing at
I feel like it's a demotion.
Yeah, it's a demotion.
But how is he taking it, though? Have you guys interviewed him?
I don't think it's something he can answer to you, because he'll tell you that he will take as it comes. Because the funny thing, I'm not saying that's what I want, but if Ichabod Masecha fails, then you hear that he's back at the helm of things. Coach Nyanga Flope will stay. I mean, look at where Moroni Pirates is. That person failed, but then you bring him
to Wanderers, and you're hoping.
They failed to win even a single game under his leadership, but then you make him the coach of a team of this magnitude. So
I'm also criticizing Wanderers there with their.
I've seen Ichabod. I've seen Ichabod when he was at Denver Sundowns. He is playing style of football, the discipline in the field of play, but that is enough if the players are not motivated. We had an interview with Bongani Mtluli, the club board of directors, saying per month this club needs at least 250K to survive.
It's a lot of money.
And the headlines today says they can't even make it with 40K currently per month. That's how financially they are in a crisis.
It's bad. Green Mamba, of course, still leading the log there with 26 points and 11 matches played.
They've only lost one game against Ilovo. So you can imagine.
Swallows I do see Mbabane Swallows really holding their own up there as well. They're going to be a problem as well. It's just, Green Mamba has just been their team, and that they have the character, they have the winning mentality coming in from last season. But Fabrice, are you predicting this is what it's going to be for the longest time in terms of Green Mamba being up there?
More than anything, I think in terms of log leaders, I don't think something will change. Like I said, this team is just in the league of their own. I think Green Mamba, in my opinion, they deserve to get the league already, because the first round carrot, they will get it after the 2 games. But where I think things will change is between number 3 and number 6. Number 3 and number 6, these are teams that seasonally we've seen how they gain momentum with the league. So Leopard will pick up, Buffaloes will pick up. So these 2 teams won't finish number 3 or number 6. We might see maybe with Mbabane Swallows, if they're not careful, Leopard might take that position. But if we are to say reality, I think Swallows will maintain second position. They're also in good form. But maybe in terms of ball position, points, Leopard might not be that far behind of log leaders, and we might see Young Buffaloes jumping to number 3 or number 4 or number 5. So I'm expecting the second round of the series, especially in those armed forces sides. Otherwise, for the likes of Kusile, Rangers, Eswatini United, these are teams that need to put more effort. But we cannot afford to lose number 13, number 14 for next season. These are the 2 teams, most crowd pullers in the Manzini city. So they need to be back to winning ways and see them compete in the second round.
Carling Cup, Fabrice, we just saw Sekhukhune United versus TX Galaxy. What an interesting match it was. I think, the Carling Cup, another cup that has grown, and we are really seeing what, working together can do for football in terms of what the Carling Cup has really been able to achieve. I don't know if, is it something that you predicted?
I did predict. I think Stellenbosch, Captain-based Galaxy. I think when you mention TX Galaxy, anyone who watches South African football, what sticks in their mind is that Nedbank Cup final when they defeated Kaizer Chiefs. And I think that time, when the funny thing, they were not in the Premier League. They were actually under the Motsepe league, first division, and then they went on to win a Nedbank Cup. And in South Africa, the Nedbank Cup champion gets a chance to represent the country in CAF competition. So they went on to represent South African CAF competition under the national first division. So you have to expect that maybe they have got a great performance historically in terms of chance, but Stellenbosch, they have been a good side also to watch. So come on Saturday at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban, I'm handing it over to TX Galaxy in terms of prediction.
Fabrice, in the last 4 years, TX Galaxy hasn't beaten Stellenbosch in any game.
This is a knockout tournament.
No, I just had to highlight that for you. I just had to highlight that for you. They played December 2022 in 2021.
That's history.
Stellenbosch won 1-0. That's history. They played this year, January 8. They drew. They played March 12. Stellenbosch massacred TX Galaxy.
Good thing I'll be here on Monday when we look at the results, and I'll tell you.
They made 20. Stellenbosch won again 2-1. They played recently October 4. Stellenbosch won 3-0, and you're here sitting right next to me telling me that Stellenbosch is going to lose this game.
Those are records. Doesn't change anything. Trust me.
Records don't change anything?
Trust me. Yes, you come into the game with confidence to say you've got what it takes to upset the other side. But trust me, I'm giving to TX Galaxy, and Monday I'll be here talking about it.
January 8, 2023, Moses Mabhida Stadium. This game will start, and we'll see the eventual winners. And I'm confident I'll come back here next week and tell you you were wrong, as usual. Let's continue. Let's look at the DSTV fixtures for this coming weekend. Fabrice, I think going into this weekend's DSTV fixtures, only 2 games, of course, Morocco Swallows versus SuperSport United, Golden Arrows versus one of the greatest teams of all time in South Africa, Orlando Pirates.
I'm quite interested in that fixture above the Morocco Swallows, against SuperSport United. I like what Steve Compere has done with Morocco Swallows. If you look at where they are in the league, the team they have faced, that's number 8. When you took the team, I think they were down at the bottom. So look where they are now. This great job by Steve Compere. And they're not far from the likes of Chiefs and Pirates in terms of ball position. Points and Golden Arrows. So the game between Golden Arrows and Orlando Pirates, there's also a lack of consistency in these teams. If you look at, I think was it Chippa United or where they defeated them 2-0. Yes. So then you ask yourself, prior to that, there were defeats and everything. Then you ask yourself, what's happening with the big guns in South Africa? So, but coming to this game against Golden Arrows, it's 2 sides. It's either a draw for Pirates or a win for them. I don't see Golden Arrows really, making an impression. But for SuperSport United and Morocco Swallows, SuperSport United have so far had a great season. So they've got what it takes and go and get 3 points on the day.
Looking out for that one as well. Fabrice, just quickly, group stage, match day 6 of 6 for the UEFA Champions League. We saw some interesting results over the week. I want us to look at those results real quick, and I don't know which was your favorite game this week, but certainly Real Madrid for me, because I watched that one. It was really an interesting game. I loved the energy. Union Berlin showed character there, but Real Madrid being Real Madrid became the eventual winners.
Yeah, they became the eventual winners. I think I watched the game between Munich, and I was quite impressed. And then Newcastle United against AC Milan. AC Milan out of Champions League, but now will be playing Europa League. Newcastle United out of Europe totally.
Yeah.
So it does change everything. Look at how the teams are standing. Now, one thing you pick here, Madrid are the only team in all group stages that had 18 points out of 18.
Wow.
Straight 18 points out of 18.
That's a
they
statement.
won all the 6 games. It tells you who they are in the tournament.
Yeah. Look at Man City.
Yeah. So then you have to look at also Manchester City. I forgot to mention them. Beg your pardon. So you look at Manchester City and you look at Real Madrid. So then you have the likes of Bayern Munich, 16 points. You've got Arsenal also who had 13 points. So these are the 8 teams. So we've got now teams that have qualified for the last 16. The draw should be conducted this week. We have the return of the Champions League in February next year. But for Manchester United to be out of the Champions League and Europa League, which means they're totally out of Europe competitions, then tells you that some work needs to be done under the Manchester City. Now, information gathered is that the new owners who are likely to take Manchester United soon, if they get to buy the Manchester United, might get back Mr. Harry Potter, the former Sea and Brighton coach, to replace the coach Erik ten Hag. Why do they like him? They like him for many reasons. He's got a PhD and masters in sports science. They have seen the building of the team, what he's done for Brighton, in as much as he couldn't make much of impression for Chelsea. But if they get a chance to be in charge, Erik ten Hag, time at Manchester United could be at an end.
With a few seconds left, Fabrice, maybe just to highlight, match day 17 of 38 will be underway for the English Premier League. Liverpool is going to face Manchester United on Sunday. Of a game, I do believe Arsenal will face, I believe, Brighton. Am I correct? Yeah. Arsenal should face Brighton. But, I'm just trying to highlight some of the top three teams there with Liverpool.
I'm worried for Manchester United.
You have to be.
The current form they are in, and you go to Anfield load. You visit Liverpool that is high motivated. They are sitting on top of the log. In as much as by the time they play, maybe Arsenal could be back on the top of the table because they play Brighton. So I'm worried for seated sixth. But their performance is not really speaking.
Fabrice, we have run out of time. I'm sorry.
So I'm giving to Liverpool and giving to Arsenal.
Kuba worried ngabo sayinpho yakhona vele sesakudayela. Bongosi ngakhulu kufika nathi emaphethelweni lomhla ehlelweni nibe nempela sonto le nhlelo responsible sale kahle.